first topic is the ongoing efforts by students in Montgomery County to raise their voice about gun safety and to be leaders in a growing national movement for reform of our gun laws. Many of us are very supportive and cheering them on and feeling optimistic and positive for the first time in years, because when students get involved, they can really move mountains. And every major reform movement in this country, students have been in the lead, and to see them now stepping up to push for reform of our gun laws is heartening and inspiring, and we want to see this continue and grow. So we really I want to express my appreciation for what students are doing now to change the discussion in this country around gun safety. Second issue, I've been speaking for several weeks now about the possibility of legislation in the state of Maryland that would take away local control over the deployment of wireless infrastructure. In other words, the next generation of cell towers and antennas, which are smaller than the existing macro cells. And there is, as you know, a zoning change coming before the council from the county executive that would address county policies and processes for deployment of this infrastructure. But we are very concerned to see legislation now in the state that takes away local control. And the result of this, if it were to pass in the state, would be very unfortunate. It would result in far more duplicative infrastructure and an inability by the county to negotiate for public benefits and the public interest in the deployment of cell phone or wireless infrastructure in the future. We wouldn't be able to recoup the cost of processing all of the equipment and so on and so forth. So that's a big concern for us, and we will be taking that issue up at 12:30 today among a lot of other issues, major state legislation items that are going to be before the council for discussion today and in the coming weeks. But this is certainly one of them. So with that, I'd love to entertain any questions or topics you'd like to discuss.
I have a quick question as we go back to students and local raising their voice. On the national level, we've heard from President Trump about maybe giving incentives for teachers and maybe having guns in the classroom or in the schools. What's your take on what the national rhetoric?
Yeah. Well, I thought that was a real low moment in a discussion about gun safety, and I take the president very seriously. I think, unfortunately, there's a tendency to almost scoff at that proposal because it is considered to be lunacy by most reasonable people. Unfortunately, what we've seen over the last few years is that lunacy has moved to the mainstream for defenders of, unfettered gun rights. And to hear the President of the United States openly talk about the potential for more guns in the classroom, which can only result in more students getting killed, was disheartening and very unfortunate. So I think it's important that we take the president at face value and not laugh this off and say that's the president's solution for children being shot in classrooms, is to put more guns in classrooms. This is crazy, and this needs to change.
The Supreme Court case regarding unions, what are the possible ramifications in Montgomery County should that?
Thank you. Yeah, last Friday we had an opportunity for the county and our county employee unions to speak out about the Supreme Court case that's being heard this week. The concern for us is that in Montgomery County we have an approach to labor management cooperation, and when we need to achieve something, we can work with our county unions to make changes in our workforce, to have the county government providing services in new ways and in different ways. And we're very concerned that if the county unions are not able to collect dues from all county employees as part of the representation in the collective bargaining process, that will have negative consequences for our ability ultimately to work with our county unions to deliver services, to make changes, to meet our goals. And we think that unions that have voluntary dues will become less effective as partners and will create problems for the county government. So we are signing on to an amicus brief, and that brief is signed on to by other local governments around the country. And we are pointing out that there's been many times when the county has been able to make significant changes in how we provide education or other kinds of services, and we were able to make those changes because we were able to have a partnership and have a dialogue and manage change with the county unions. And we're concerned that the incentives in our system will become misaligned if the unions are not able to have the security of dues. And then if they have to campaign to their members just to pay the bills, we could end up in a much more oppositional dynamic, and that would be harmful to our ability to provide great schools and other services in this county.
6 or 7 months ago, the council passed money for security measures for this building to prevent some type of threat coming into here. Do you think the council should do something similar for schools, have metal detectors, security guards that have the same type of security you have here in this building?
Well, even longer ago, the county council worked with the school system in the wake of the horrible tragedy in Newtown. And at that time, a top-to-bottom review was undertaken of school buildings and access, and we funded a lot of changes in building security. And we did that again at the end of last year. And we did that again in the middle of last year after the unfortunate incident at Rockville. So enhancing school security has been an ongoing focus for Montgomery County. And we've also, of course, added the SROs to all of the high schools. So we have been doing everything that our police department and our school board or school system requests or recommends. And that's the appropriate dynamic. And we will look to them for any recommendations of additional changes that they think are necessary.
Well, what type of changes have you made since Sandy Hook besides the additional SROs?
A lot of changes to building security, how you get into buildings, what kind of, what the access is to, you can't just walk into buildings. There's a lot of changes that have been made. I would need to, refer you to documents from the last several years about what those have been project by project, but it is very different today in this county than it was before Sandy Hook, and that is ongoing. That level of effort is ongoing. So the investment is in the budget now, and if we need to increase that, we will. But we have funds for security now, and we will continue to prioritize that.
Is there anything that you think you can do? I mean, you talk about gun control, but obviously the council has no say over the state's gun policy or the federal government's gun laws. So is there something, on a county level you could do to curb mass shootings?
Well, unfortunately, gun laws affecting guns there's no local control over that issue. That issue has been taken and reserved at the state level, and of course there's many considerations. So we have a limited ability to enact law or policy that affects this. It's one of the reasons why we're excited about students speaking out.
Councilmember Hucker's bill on solar energy, is that something that a lot of residents want to do, but maybe it's not so affordable? Regarding solar panels?
Yes, I think that legislation will open the door for more providers to come in and work it with homeowners or building owners in the community. And absolutely, there's a very strong desire in this county to expand solar infrastructure, to add panels to roofs, and for our residents to get their source, get their energy from clean sources. So this is addressing something in the zoning code that is essentially a barrier to additional deployment, and I think it'll help clear the way for more companies to come in and provide solar services for our residents. Okay. Well, thank you for your time and focus. Have a good day.